Welcome back to r/Aholetax, where jerks get exactly what they deserve in a very satisfying way. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive into the stories. And the first one is titled, "Thanks for the tip, a-hole." I am currently working in a bar. I do all sorts of odd work around here. I work as a chef in the kitchen, I work on the door charging covers on Saturdays, I work the floor clearing glasses, I work the comedy club upstairs as a show watcher. And finally, I occasionally work on the bar. The reason that I only occasionally work on the bar is for a few reasons. One, I'm not a huge drinker and my knowledge of different alcoholic beverages is limited at best. Take this exchange from Saturday night in the comedy club.
What types of wine do you have?
White, red or rosé.
Is that all the information you can give me?
Mate, I'm not a damn sommelier. I can just about find the bottles. The customer found the whole exchange funny and tipped me his change. This is in the UK, so tipping culture is much less expected than in the US. Anyway, back to this story. I was working the main downstairs bar yesterday. It was the final day of the soccer season and as such the bar was busy in the day. By the time I moved from the floor to work on the bar, it was evening time. The bar was quieter and most people were not drinking too heavily. Except for 3 away fans who had been in the bar since the game had ended. The bar is about a 10-minute walk to the local stadium. They had been drinking since arriving and I wasn't sure if I should serve them. Whilst they did not seem overly inebriated, they were acting like pricks. Still, that is not against the law, so I served them. The guy orders 2 pints, pays with a £20 note. I go to give him his change and he's already handed 1 drink to his mate and walked off. I call after him and he flipped me off and told me to F off. I printed off his receipt and put the change under the bar but on top of the till. My fellow bar staff told me to just keep it as a tip, but I wanted to give the guy the chance to get his change. He may be a prick, but £20 for 2 pints is ridiculous. Those are London prices. About half an hour later he returns to the bar. I make sure that I am the one to serve him, however now he has gone past the point where I can serve him any more alcohol. "Hey mate, unfortunately I've been instructed not to serve you any more alcohol."
You have been what?
"I've been instructed not to serve you any more alcohol. However, last time you bought..."
Are you saying that I'm drunk?
"I'm saying that you have reached a stage where the bar can no longer serve you. However, last time you got your drinks you..."
How dare you smile at me as you say that?
I'm naturally a pretty cheerful guy. "Sir, understand, this is nothing personal."
No, F you. Don't you know that
Insert name of his soccer team
is in town? We smashed your lot.
"Indeed you did, but I cannot serve you anymore. But last time you came to the bar you..."
I'm going to have your damn job for this.
"Well, good luck with that. My name is OP, so be sure to tell them when you call up to make your complaint. The door is over there. Feel free to come back next time. Insert soccer team is in town.
F and want.
Have a nice evening." He then left and walked past the door staff, tried to start a fight with a group of random people on the street, ran away when they hit him back and was promptly arrested by the police, who were hanging around in town because his soccer team's fans, so basically him, have a bad reputation in our country for being violent twats. Thanks for the 200% tip, a-hole. And you know guys, I was just thinking, when comparing European soccer to American football, you always hear of violent soccer fans, but I've never heard of super violent American football fans. Is that a thing in the United States or is that less common? Let me know in the comments. And the next one is titled, "Pay rent by the 1st or vacate the property." My roommate had suddenly lost his job just before the turn of the month and we knew there was no way we would make rent. He already had another job lined up, but it would be a couple of weeks before he was paid. It was about 5 days prior to the 1st when we went to go see the property manager. We informed her of the situation and told her we would pay what we could and even had no problem paying late fees or whatever else was coming our way. We signed a lease and we understood that there would be penalties for missing rent. She did not want to hear a word we said. She only said that as per our lease we were required to pay rent on the 1st of each month. So we went back to our apartment, discouraged and uncertain as to what was going to happen and what we were going to do. I started looking up the local laws on renting and eviction and learned that an eviction takes 30 days in my state, so at least we would not be homeless. We racked our brains for the next few days trying to come up with some way to pay rent, but despite searching through local, state and federal law, trying to sell a bunch of our stuff and even trying to borrow some money, we had nothing. It was the last day of the month. I was walking up to our door and saw a piece of paper hanging on it. I assumed it was an eviction notice and was surprised that it was a day early. Luckily for me, it was our ticket out of the apartment. A handwritten note from the property management company rustled slightly in the breeze. It simply read,
"Pay rent by the 1st or vacate the property. Signed, crappy office lady who didn't want to listen to you."
Okay, I admitted, that's not really her name. Having familiarized myself with local renters' rights over the last few days, I knew that this note counted as a signed document stating we had permission to break the lease and leave the property. We knew we were not going to pay rent, so we did exactly what she told us to do. We vacated the crap out of that place. In less than 6 hours we packed up everything, threw it in our cars and found another apartment that gave us 30 days to give them a deposit because we had good credit. She called us the next day and the next ranting about property abandonment and how we owed her rent, but I knew that we only filled 3 of the 3 required criteria for property abandonment, and I explained to her what her note meant from a legal perspective. To this day I have no idea how someone whose job it is to make money off of people in apartments could let this happen. Why the hell did she even leave that note when the very next day she could have posted an eviction notice? Part of me wants to think that she did it on purpose to help us out, but she was too awful for that to be true. And guys, if you have watched until here, please don't forget to post some star emojis in the comments and also like the video if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance. And the next one is titled, "You cannot park there." Okay, you can, but it will cost you. My parents had this problem with a guy parking a tractor trailer on their land. He lives right across from one of their pecan groves. The grove has well-spaced trees all in neat rows, the grass is mowed super short, the ground is really flat. It looks like an ideal place to pull your rig if you don't know any better. The ground is so flat because they use mechanical harvesting. Bumps and grooves can cause the machines to leave pecans laying on the ground. A 2-inch deep groove from a big truck like that can hold thousands of dollars of pecans and will until it is fixed. Oh, and you have to get them up by hand. It's a big deal when someone screws with your livelihood like that. So the guy parks there one time, they get it, he probably doesn't understand he's causing so much trouble. Dad goes down, explains the damage he has done, tells him the grove is private property and not to do it again. The dude, we will call him Dude, agrees, apologizes, Dad goes home, fixes damage mid-week. Next Friday there is the truck again, same spot. Dad, not about to put up with this, calls the sheriff department. The cop comes, truck moves, Dad fixes damage mid-week. Next week no truck, 1 week later truck is back, repeat complaint for trespassing to sheriff. The dude claims he forgot. He drives over the road and his Home Depot where his car is parked 30 miles away. It is convenient for the dude to forget because he saves his gas and time by driving his employer's rig and parking it on my parents' land. Also, he does not get nailed if his cab is not clean. No other driver gets assigned his truck. There are plain motivations. The dude clearly does not forget every time he is home, but this is what he claims to the deputies sent out on the complaints. After 7 times the sheriff department is called, he finally gets a trespassing citation. No fine is levied, drives his car 2 weeks in a row, following week truck is back. At this point my dad has fixed this damage so often he's keeping a tractor and blade on the property so it gets done faster and easier. He calls the sheriff yet again, the sheriff himself comes out this time, the truck leaves, sheriff comes to see my dad. Says the enforcement problem is that it is hard to explain to a court the harm when pictures hardly show any damage, and the dude always apologizes and moves the truck when deputies come. Says getting dude for trespassing under those circumstances is going to be tough, but he is on this and will see it through for my parents, but his office is 30 miles away. Not that many deputies to be out patrolling, etc. And then the sheriff, bless his little elected heart, says, but if there was something different like a theft of services going on, then maybe cue malicious compliance. The next day, signs go up on 80 trees in a row, 8,000 feet, they are 100 feet apart, semi-parking, $500 per hour. Prepay, violators will be towed. The dude does not pay the signs any mind, the dude does however pay the tow truck and deputy quite a bit of mind. He comes running and screaming, waving his arms as they are hooking up. Well, before my dad called to have him towed, everything was documented, including having the sheriff himself drive by and take several pictures of the truck parked with the clearly visible signs. Everything is put on hold while the dude's employer, who owns the truck, drives out. After 3 hours, the dude's boss gives up and writes a check for $7,800 to cover parking and tow truck fees. That actually covered the tow truck, all the repairs, printing the signs and beer for about a year for my dad's Tuesday poker gathering. Salute. The dude who still lives there does not park in the Pecan Grove. His boss payroll deducted his checks for 2 years. And to be honest guys, this is probably my favorite Aholetax story so far. Let me know in the comments what you think about this fantastic story. And the next one is titled, I want a sandwich but not a sandwich. This is from 10 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. I briefly worked in a family-owned deli in my college days. This deli has been open since the 1920s and they are known in the area for the food they prepare. No BS, the sandwiches and sides are phenomenal. I really miss it and always stop when I visit the area. In the summers it was standing room only and the line to order was out the door and around the corner. Anyways, on this particular day it was just after the dinner rush when I got a phone order for 5 or 6 sandwiches. Not a big deal, except they wanted all the ingredients packaged separately so they could assemble the sandwich themselves. They wanted to buy just the pieces and not pay for the assembly, as if we were a damn grocery store. I stated that we don't do that and the price is the price. He was not happy but just said to prepare it the way he wanted. I knew a crap storm was coming. Even if it was prepared perfectly, he would still find something to complain about, one of those customers. So I told the other staff to not set a finger on the order and that I would handle it completely. So I prepared his sandwiches just as he asked, with everything packaged separately. When they came in, I charged them the full sandwich price. Of course, they complained that it should be cheaper since I did not even make a sandwich. I explained to them that it actually took more effort and more materials to package everything separately rather than make a sandwich, so the full price stays. They complained more. I further explained that when extra containers and wrappers are requested, we charge 25 cents for each extra and that I did not even charge them for that. At that point they were literally screaming and yelling in the store. Then the guy said the magic words,
I want the manager.
You want the manager? I will gladly get the manager. You see, the manager lived in the apartment directly above the deli. She left at 5 PM every day to go home upstairs and left us staff to run the place. If there was ever a problem, we could just call upstairs and she would come down. The other important thing to note is that she was a raging alcoholic. She was functional during the day, but come 5 PM, she had a bottle in her hand and did not stop until she blacked out. Every so often she would come down to grab a 6-pack from the cooler to supplement her hard liquor and then she would go back upstairs. By 6 or 7 PM she was completely sloshed. No one liked calling her after 5 PM because she was raging and honestly an a-hole. So I called the up manager just like the guy wanted. She was pissed when she answered, but I told her we had a problem customer and she was suddenly all too happy to come down. She came through the back door so I could explain things and she just nodded her head and went to the register. It was like she immediately sobered up and was no longer drunk. She listened to them complain and then she apologized and offered to re-ring the order herself. The guy was grinning like he had won. Narrator: he did not win. She proceeded to weigh each and every item individually. Not only did she weigh the meat and cheese, but she also weighed the tomato and onion slices, the lettuce, the bacon and the peppers. Then she charged for the random condiments, mayo, mustard, olive oil, vinegar, salt, pepper, oregano, and then she charged for the roll. The total ended up being a few dollars or so cheaper than the actual sandwiches themselves. The guy was happy and was getting his wallet out, but then she started charging for the containers. Since everything was either wrapped or in a container, it ended up being about $8 more than if we had just charged him for a regular sandwich, all said and done. He was flipping out at this point, but she pointed to the sign that was stuck to the front of the register that stated additional containers were extra cost. It was a common request. The guy started yelling, but she yelled even louder. She yelled that we are not a grocery store, and if he wanted to make his own sandwich, that is where he should go. She then tacked on another $5 or so, $1 each for the sandwich for him being an a-hole. He ended up paying for the sandwiches and left. Then she went back upstairs to drink and we went back to business. He did call 30 minutes later and tried to say we forgot to package his bacon, but I said I personally put it in the bag after the manager weighed it, so it is 110% in the bag, and that I would get the manager again if he would like. He did not want the manager. And the last one was posted by user FoxShort on our own subreddit r/ripestories, and it is titled, "Pastor, please put on some pants." A small town story, names have been changed, rural Kansas, small town and cowboy country. Population around 1,600. Pastor John is woken up at midnight to a loud crashing sound outside. He stumbles downstairs to see someone had run into his car and run off. The cops, having also heard the crash, small town, are already there and start talking with him. Two of them go off to search the town for another wrecked car as the other cop continues chatting with Pastor John. 5 hours goes by, the other cop leaves to join the others in searching when a nice Mazda rolls up with his front bumper ripped all to hell. The guy gets out and admits to hitting him and says he had gone home to make sure he was okay. Right, he wanted to sober up before the cops saw him, obviously. So the cops come back and write up a report. Apparently the car he was driving was on loan from the dealership. This guy is going to get his butt handed to him in the morning either way, so they decide to cut him some slack and not charge him for a hit and run. The police chief comes and takes over the situation because this is a big ticket deal in a small town and it involves the pastor. After talking for a while, the chief stops for a minute, takes a small sigh and asks, "John, can I ask you to please put some pants on?" Pastor John had been handling this in the boxers the whole time. He did so, and of course rumors spread fast through the town about the incident. The next Sunday, Pastor John was gifted 2 robes and 2 pairs of pants at the next service. And guys, that reminds me, we should really read r/church drama again. So please let me know in the comments if any of you are still interested in the good old stories from r/church drama. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.